Imagine in a country of 120 plus crore people, only 4.5 lakh people earn an income of more than 20 lakh rupees per annum. And in our taxpayers or amongst our taxpayers, almost 90% earn less than 5 lakh rupees. And now look at the housing stock that gets created in India's top 12 cities. 75% is priced at 50 lakh rupee plus. Is it any wonder that the real estate sector is going through its worst slowdown? There is a huge mismatch between the housing stock available and what people can really afford to buy. Forget lower income groups. Even a family of 4 at the median income of 6 lakh rupees per annum cannot afford to buy an average home in any of India's top 10 metros. That's the crux of our affordable home discussion today on the Realty Debate. I'm Anisha Natarajan. Welcome everyone, and let's get an answer to this very basic question. How and how soon can we make housing really affordable for middle income, for lower middle income, and then probably even the economically weaker segments in the country? Joining me today, Venkatesh Gopalakrishnan, President Business Development and Chief Investment Officer at Shapoorji Pallonji Real Estate. Also Sanjay Dutt, Executive Managing Director, South Asia, Cushman and Wakefield. We will have with us Sunil Rohakale, MD and CEO, ASK Group. Aditya Agarwal, Director, Aditya Builders and Developers, joins me from the Delhi studio, and Sameer Jasuja, Founder and MD of Prop Equity. Couple of questions that I'm going to start off with asking my panelists is, who is really buying right now homes in India's top cities? I think once we can define that, who can afford to buy a home in India's top 10 cities, we'll take the discussion forward. So, my first question to Venkatesh Gopalakrishnan, because they've just announced mega plans to get into the sector and create a large number of affordable housing stock. But as things stand today, Mr. Gopalakrishnan, how mismatched is the supply and the demand?
Well, thank you, Manisha. I think as you rightly put it, first of all, affordable housing is a very relative term. And if you look at India's growing middle class and the engine driver of the economy going ahead, it's going to surely be the middle class and the lower to middle class segment. I don't think there is any doubt that there is a slowdown in the real estate market. However, if you look at the segment and if you look at the overall supply-demand imbalance, I would feel that relatively speaking, this segment of, let's say, 15 lakhs per unit to 50 lakhs per unit will continue to have robust demand over the next 6 to 8 years. And even over the next, let's say, 1 to 4 years, the demand should be reasonable. The reason being is that there is a growing working class. There is affordability in this segment of 15 to 50 lakhs. There is availability of home loans. There is availability of finance. And as long as the locations are where, of course, they are going to be in the outskirts of the city, but where they are, there is infrastructure, there is social infrastructure, there is power, there is water, and the houses are of quality and delivered with a promise to be delivered within the timelines as promised by the developer. We strongly feel as Shapoorji Pallonji that there is going to be continued demand in that ticket size of 15 to 50 lakhs.
Okay. So 15 to 50 lakhs. Let's then keep our discussion to what Mr. Gopalakrishnan has just spelled out. That's the kind of housing that we are looking at. That's what we are going to call affordable housing for this entire period of discussion. Sanjay Dutt, I'm going to just read out some data. Suddenly, there seems to have been a big realization in the Indian market that, yes, this is a segment which is waiting to be captured. We are not able to sell other houses, so we have to now relook at our product strategy. So the supply of affordable homes has shot up by 320% in the first quarter of 2015. The launches have gone up from 1670, that's 1670 units in a year ago period, to 7,000 units in just 1 quarter. My question is, what kind of affordable homes are we talking about here, Sanjay? Is it the same as described by Mr. Gopalakrishnan, 15 to 50 lakhs, or is it a higher price tag? Because 15 to 50 is also a big range when it comes to housing.
So, I mean, my understanding is the majority of the markets across NCR, Mumbai, and few other markets other than plotted development that you see in Bangalore and few other locations, majority of it is actually between 20-30 lakh rupees to 50 lakhs. So, you know, it's very rare that you come across 15 lakh, you know, there would be an exception of Rajahat perhaps in Calcutta, and there are some outer periphery locations in Mumbai, in Thane and Raigad districts. There are some small developers who are building or trying to attempt, but their numbers are still very small. But bulk of it is between 30 lakh rupees to 50 lakh rupees.
All right. Aditya, do you agree that, you know, you're doing affordable housing for some time now in the NCR area, Ghaziabad to be precise, that 15 to 25 is still an extremely difficult segment. 30 to 50 is where the brave are now stepping in?
What I think the scenario in the NCR market is a little different. In the NCR market, 30 to 40 lakhs, a lot of options are available in projects per se which are not tagged as affordable.
Okay.
For NCR market, affordable is necessarily between 15 and 30 lakhs, and people here in the NCR market are proving it at locations like Ghaziabad, Faridabad. It's basically a leapfrog development that is happening based on the promise of the infrastructure that the government is planning parallelly, which is also supposed to come out along with the delivery of the houses. So when we speak about the market of NCR, and if we really want to speak about affordable houses, I think we can concentrate on the price bracket between 15 and 25 lakhs.
All right. So let's talk now about two price brackets. There's one 15 to 25 lakhs and then there's 25 to 50 lakhs, or depending on the market. Of course, in MMR it will be 50, in NCR it would be slightly smaller. Sameer, I've got some really interesting data from Prop Equity, which of course put this entire figure as very simple. If you take India's top 12 metros, 75% of the new launches over the past 2.5–3 years have been in price tickets of above 50 lakh rupees. And now you have a Cushman data which is saying suddenly 7,000 units in the first quarter. Nothing has changed, has it? Approval processes haven't changed. It's just one, land costs haven't changed. I think it's just the realization that has changed, that we can't continue to sell a high price product.
You know, I would like to take you back into time when we actually came out with this report just after the subprime crisis. When the dust started to settle, the only way out for developers at that point was to come out with affordable housing. And you saw an unprecedented launch of affordable housing at that time between 15 lakh to 25 lakh rupees, even in areas like Gurgaon and many other cities which are now becoming quite unaffordable. And that was the only way the developers could resurrect themselves, get their cash flows going. And that's why probably you're seeing new launches happening at the affordable segment, because they are not seeing any other way out of this cash flow crunch that they've got into. So you will see a lot of spate of new launches in terms of affordable housing again. They have previously historically acquired certain land parcels in which they had big dreams of doing luxury housing and making much higher profit margins, but now they need that liquidity. They need to get out of this cash crunch, and they don't mind selling whatever it takes to get them out of this current situation. So that's what is really happening again, and it's really good for the market as long as the delivery happens, the execution happens, and the monies taken are not diverted into debt servicing.
Okay. All right. Well, there are certain events and investments which have happened and of course brought back real estate into some positive news, rather than just the fact that housing is slowing down, real estate is slowing down. These are big ticket FDI deals. Let me just tell you what has happened and of course recollect for our viewers. Shapoorji Pallonji has actually announced 2 weeks ago $200 million partnership to build 20,000 affordable homes across top 8 cities. Standard Chartered along with IFC and ADB will invest 70% of this corpus, and the remaining 30 will come from Shapoorji Pallonji. Now, there's also Tata Value Homes. They've struck a deal with IFC. IFC will invest $25 million in Tata Value Homes to develop about 16,800 homes over the next 10 years. Another $50 million worth of investments from IFC is also in the pipeline, as newspapers have reported or suggested. Now, VBHC, which is one of the early entrants into this affordable housing space, has stitched Van Herk Investment Foundation, a Rotterdam-based global investment firm, to invest $20 million in VBHC, one of the largest investments since the announcement of the new FDI policy in the affordable segment in India. So big names with advanced technology would also be roped in, says Maharashtra state government, to construct 5 lakh affordable houses in Mumbai in the next 5 years. I've not actually seen so many announcements on affordable housing. So clearly there has been a big upside of the slowdown. Sunil Rohakale, wouldn't you agree? Everyone's reconfiguring. What is it that the market really needs?
See, in fact, affordable housing is not the first time as a subject was discussed. Whenever there are crises, whenever there is economic downturn come into picture, I think affordable housing is a very nice topic to get discussed amongst the stakeholders. So I'm not surprised. 2009 was the first wave after global crisis. We discussed about the affordable housing, and there is a myth that affordable housing is definitely gives improved cash flows. Okay. Logically, yes, the bottom of the pyramid housing, 70% of the country's demand is less than 30 lakh rupee homes, and large part of the demand is an inverted pyramid, and hence there is a supply-demand mismatch. I personally feel that there are fundamental issues to the affordable housing before the affordable housing really becomes a viable business model. It is not the question of demand, according to me. It is not also a question of whether this business should exist. It is really an issue about how many developer organizations are really focused and as a mission really wanted to establish in the arena of affordable housing. A. B. What is the financial economics they probably would have to have a viable long-term proposition, and C, what kind of capital availability they will have in terms of cost of capital, be it a debt or be it equity. And these affordable housing, let's be practical, the largest component is also going to be a land cost, as we all assume, but in affordable housing, the land cost has to be reasonably low, and the land has to also have a greater connectivity to the mainland, so that physical and social infrastructure cannot be really an issue and should not be left to the affordable housing developer. So according to me, it is definitely a must need, but it's still really well not thought of. Many governments are really trying to make the announcements, but I think most of the announcements are really hollow and not really concrete in action, according to me.
All right. Venkatesh Gopalakrishnan, then what gives you that confidence that you'll be able to execute well in the affordable housing segment? Because it's still the same. You'll have to dodge delays. That's the first thing. You'll have to get around the mechanism and use a lot of new technologies. There are just so many issues still which haven't gone away. Financing for home buyers, land prices. How are you going to look at all of these?
Yeah, Manisha, let me just start by saying that, there are two ways to look at this. One is an opportunistic way, saying that there is demand in this segment for, let's say, 2-3 years because the other segments are not doing well. So let's enter this segment. That could be one kind of business motive. The other business motive could be that if you are into this segment and you have the capabilities to generate scale in this segment, and if you have the plans to be in this segment for a very long time, that when I mean very long time, I mean decades and decades, that's a different motive and that's a different thought. I think we are going with the latter. Real estate goes through cycles. There are ups, there are downs. But when a company like Shapoorji Pallonji is thinking about its business strategy and its business plans, it's thinking long term. So I'm not saying that we are going to not face issues in this business. This business has got its challenges. We feel demand is a positive of this business, but there are challenges in terms of managing the construction cost, managing the construction timeline, managing the scale which this business demands. Because relatively speaking, the affordable housing business margins will be lower than a middle to high or a high income housing. So therefore, the context which I'm trying to set over here is that if you actually look at being in this business for the long term, you will see ups, you will see downs, but over a very long period of time, a player like us, who, with all humility, I'll say, has got the end-to-end capabilities of construction, development, interiors, all in-house. And if we are able to kind of build this engine to develop that kind of a scale, which is millions and millions of square feet, then I think that over a long term, this kind of business plan and strategy and story will be very positive for us. And that is the entire thought and the motive behind why we have gone into this business, and we are looking at it very positively from a long-term perspective. And that is also the motive why we have kind of not tried to go about this on our own. Right. We have tied up with credible capital partners who, will kind of strengthen our hands going ahead in this business.
Okay, very interesting. So it's not that market dynamics have changed. Let's get into affordable housing because we are not being able to sell higher income or higher ticket houses. Aditya, you've been in this business even prior to this slowdown, isn't it? So what is it? I mean, every time we've spoken about affordable housing, a lot of developers have said it's extremely challenging to create an affordable housing stock in this country. How have you managed to do it despite all the challenges which remain?
The only good point about affordable housing is that the sales have got velocity. The break-even period for an affordable housing project is 24 months when you invest on the land, when you buy a land. And say if you go for a JDA model or with the landowner, then the break-even may be even lesser. And also affordable housing is a volume-based business. You have to have a minimum n number of units to make it happen. It is basically the economy of scale. And affordable housing is a factor where you have to construct it in a time-bound manner and come out of it. You have to have all the plans to stop the overcost, the overrun. Okay. And this is what has made us successful in the last 3 years. We have been doing the affordable housing in Ghaziabad.
All right. So, Sanjay Dutt, there's a lot which needs to be taken care of to get this right. Clearly, it seems to be a far more recession-proof product in housing, just like education and health. In fact, I would say affordable housing probably won't have a cyclical nature. How many developers across the country do you think have the wherewithal to get this right?
So clearly, developers have gone through enough learnings last 3-4 years to understand that there are 3 or 4 areas they need to strengthen their capability on. Everybody knows land is a very important component and the cost makes a difference. And they understand the economics of it. They understand that they have not been very smart about using various technologies and scale. And some developers I know have started working on prefab technologies and various techniques and method. Some developers have also understood. They were earlier thinking that higher FSI and more money. Now they understand quicker turnaround of the project is more money and not necessarily higher FSI. Okay. So instead of doing, ground plus 10 stories, if they do ground plus 2, they may be able to exit the project with better returns because the cash flows will be much better and therefore they'll make sense out of it. So I think developers have the capability. What we have seen so far is that if you go to small towns and outer peripheral location, there is this small developer of tier 3 category who's already making economics work and they're making money out of it, Manisha. Okay. It's just that the tier 1 developer was so focused on high margin game that they did not understand and they did not have the scale to basically go on those markets. Now under pressure, of course, they're now looking at it as an opportunity. And of course, there is a huge opportunity and we all know that. I think some of them will get it right. Because there is I genuinely believe that even today, there are strong opportunities and projects are viable, provided you hit the scale, provided you hit the right technology, do it in a short period of time, do a deep study of demographics, understand who will buy and how quickly you will be able to turn around your projects, and also deliver and demonstrate your success and track record.
Okay, fair enough. So we're going to come back in just a moment and get that big answer. you've got the ingredients of creating affordable housing. What is it that you need to do technically to create environment friendly housing units? And also the very big question, I mean, can developers do it alone, or is there government participation which can speed up the process multifold? How much hand holding do they require? Can they do with, of course, a lot of hand holding, but do they really require to meet that housing for all mission? I mean, it's a rather large mission. We'll come back and talk about that. We're discussing who can really afford to buy homes in India's top cities.